They sat around my dining table like vultures. My 3 children, their husbands, their wives, and not one of them had visited me in 18 months. Not until the doctor said I had maybe 6 months left. Funny how sickness makes you popular, isn't it? But I wasn't sick enough to be stupid. And that's when I found it. The inheritance loophole that no one saw coming. Not my greedy son, Mark. Not my manipulative daughter, Lisa. Not even the family lawyer who had known my father 50 years ago. You see, they brought me a document. A simple paper, they said. Just updating the will. Just making things easier for everyone. But I read every word. And in paragraph 17, buried between legal terms no normal person would understand, I saw something they had missed. A single sentence from 1973, written by my late wife, Eleanor, in her own handwriting. Let me go back. My name is Arthur. I am 82 years old. I built a small construction company from nothing. It is not a fortune, but it is enough. Enough for a house, enough for savings, and enough for 3 children to suddenly remember I exist. My son, Mark, said he wanted to protect the assets. My daughter, Lisa, said she wanted to avoid family conflict. My youngest, Peter, he didn't say anything. Because Peter hasn't spoken to me in 2 years. Not since I told him I would not pay for his 3rd failed business. So when they all showed up on the same Sunday afternoon with a lawyer named Mr. Hendricks, I knew something was wrong. Let me stop here, because this is important for your English learning. Notice the words I used. Vultures, large birds that eat dead animals. But here, it means greedy people waiting for someone to die. Manipulative, controlling others for your own benefit, often using lies or guilt. Assets are another word for money, property, or things of value. Clause or a single section in a legal document. A hidden clause can change everything. These words appear often in inheritance stories. Listen again. Manipulative children. Family assets. A hidden clause. Practice saying them out loud. They will help you understand real English news, movies, and even court dramas. So what did paragraph 17 say? And why did the lawyer turn pale when I read it aloud? Let me show you the letter. The one Eleanor wrote in 1973. The one that changed everything. The letter was not in the lawyer's folder. They did not bring it. I did. Because 52 years ago, my wife Eleanor gave me a small box of memories. A lock of hair from our first child. A dried flower from our wedding. And one sealed envelope with 2 words on the front, if needed. I had never opened it. Not until that Sunday when my children sat in my living room pretending to care. Inside was a handwritten note, dated March 14th, 1973. And it said this, Arthur, if our children ever try to take what you have built before God calls you home, remember the family trust of 1951. Grandfather added a contingency clause. The estate cannot be signed away without a unanimous vote of all living descendants. But if they refuse to vote fairly, the executor, that is you, may name one outsider to receive everything. Choose wisely. Choose someone who loved you when you had nothing. I read it 3 times. Then I looked at my son Mark, who had just handed me a pen. Mark smiled. Just sign here, Dad. It's easier for everyone. I did not sign. Instead, I asked a quiet question. Mark, when was the last time you changed my bandages? He stopped smiling. Lisa, what is the name of my nurse? The one who comes every Tuesday? Lisa looked at her husband. She did not know. Peter isn't even here, I continued. But I know where he is. He is at the dog track, losing money he does not have. The lawyer, Mr. Hendricks, cleared his throat. Mr. Arthur, the document is standard. Your children only want. I raised my hand. Read paragraph 17, Mr. Hendricks. Read it aloud. He did. And when he finished, his face turned the color of old paper. Because he realized what my children did not. The unanimous vote clause meant they could not force me to sign anything without Peter's agreement. But Peter would never agree. And that gave me the right, under the 1951 trust, to name an outsider. Mark stood up. That's not fair. I smiled. Fair? You ignored me for 18 months. Now let me tell you who gets everything. You are probably thinking, the neighbor's kids. A charity. The nurse. No. I chose someone my family would never expect. I chose Mrs. Patricia O'Donnell, my 6th grade teacher. She is 94 years old. She lives in a small apartment on the other side of town. And 68 years ago, when my parents could not afford to buy me winter shoes, Mrs. O'Donnell bought them herself. She never told anyone. She never asked for thanks. My children laughed when I said her name. A teacher? You are giving everything to a teacher? I looked at the lawyer. Is it legal? Mr. Hendricks nodded slowly. The 1951 clause is unusual, sir. But it is binding. Your wife's letter confirms it. Lisa started crying. Not sad tears. Angry tears. You cannot do this. We are your blood. I stood up. My legs were weak, but my voice was not. Blood did not visit me in the hospital. Blood did not bring me soup when I had the flu. Mrs. O'Donnell did. And she is not even family. That is the loophole you forgot. Family is not about DNA. Family is about who shows up. Let us stop here and learn together. You heard several advanced words in this section. Write them down. Contingency, a plan for a possible future problem. The 1951 trust included a contingency clause. Unanimous, everyone agrees. They needed a unanimous vote, but Peter refused. Executor, the person who manages a will or trust. Arthur was the executor of the estate. Binding, legally impossible to break. The old clause was still binding. Beneficiary, the person who receives money or property. Mrs. O'Donnell became the unexpected beneficiary. Now your turn. Pause the video. Make one sentence using binding and one sentence using beneficiary. Write them in the comments. I will read them. But my children did not give up. The next morning, Mark called a new lawyer. He claimed I was not of sound mind. He wanted a mental evaluation. He wanted to break the loophole. What he did not know, I had already recorded our entire conversation. Every lie, every fake smile, every time Lisa said just sign, Dad. And the recording proved something important. Something that would destroy their case in court. 3 weeks later, I found myself in a courtroom. Not standing. Sitting in a wheelchair because my body was tired. But my mind? My mind was sharp as a broken bottle. Mark had hired a lawyer named Mrs. Diane Cross. Expensive suit. Expensive watch. Expensive smile. She told the judge that I was suffering from confusion and easily manipulated by outsiders. The judge looked at me. Mr. Arthur, do you understand what is happening today? I nodded. Yes, Your Honor. My son wants my money. And he is angry because I gave it to my 6th grade teacher. The audience laughed. Mark did not. Mrs. Cross asked me her first question. Mr. Arthur, did you sign the document naming Mrs. O'Donnell as your sole beneficiary? I did. And did your children try to stop you? They tried to trick me into signing something else first. Mrs. Cross smiled. But you have no proof of that, do you? I reached into my jacket pocket. Slowly, carefully, and I pulled out a small silver voice recorder. The kind that uses actual tape. Old technology, but reliable. Your Honor, I said, may I play something? The judge nodded. I pressed play, and the courtroom heard Mark's voice, clear as a bell. Just sign here, Dad. It's easier for everyone. Don't worry about paragraph 17. That's just legal language. It doesn't mean anything. Then Lisa's voice. Peter won't even know. He never reads anything. Just sign and we'll handle the rest. Then Mark again. If you don't sign, we'll have to prove you're not competent. And that would be embarrassing for everyone, wouldn't it? The courtroom went silent. Mrs. Cross stopped smiling. Mark put his head in his hands. The judge removed his glasses. He looked at Mark, then at Lisa, then at the empty chair where Peter should have been sitting. Mr. Arthur, the judge said, you recorded this conversation without telling them. Normally, that is not allowed in this state. My heart sank. For one terrible second, I thought I had lost. But the judge continued. However, the law makes an exception when someone suspects fraud or coercion. Did you suspect your children were trying to defraud you? Yes, Your Honor. That is why I brought the letter from my wife. And that is why I recorded them. The judge nodded. Then the recording is admissible. And after hearing it, I find that Mr. Arthur is fully competent. His children, however, he paused. His children have shown clear intent to exploit an elderly parent. The 1951 trust is valid. Mrs. Patricia O'Donnell is the rightful beneficiary. Mark stood up. This is insane. She's not even family. The judge looked at him coldly. Neither were you, young man. Not when it mattered. Case dismissed. I did not attend Mrs. O'Donnell's celebration. I was too weak to leave my bed. But my nurse showed me a video on her phone. Mrs. O'Donnell, at 94 years old, sat in her small apartment. She was crying. Not sad tears. Happy tears. She held the check in her shaking hands and said, I remember Arthur. Small boy. No shoes in winter. He was quiet. He was kind. I bought him shoes once. I never thought about it again. And now he remembers me. She wiped her eyes. Tell him thank you. Tell him, something's come back. Love always comes back. I watched that video 10 times. Then I called my daughter Lisa. She did not answer. I called Mark. He did not answer. I called Peter. He answered. But only because he wanted to ask for money. Some people never change. But loopholes? Loopholes are beautiful. Because they remind us that the law is not always on the side of the greedy. Sometimes, if you are lucky, the law is on the side of the old woman who bought winter shoes for a little boy 68 years ago. Let us review the most important words from this final section. Listen and repeat. Coercion. Forcing someone to do something against their will using threats or pressure. The recording proved coercion. Admissible. Allowed to be used as evidence in court. The judge said the tape was admissible. Fraud. The crime of lying to get money or property. The children attempted fraud. Exploit. To use someone unfairly for your own benefit. They tried to exploit their elderly father. Competent. Mentally capable of making your own decisions. The judge found Arthur competent. Now here's your homework. Leave a comment answering this question. Do you think Arthur did the right thing by disinheriting his children? Why or why not? Use at least 2 of the words above in your answer. I will read every comment. One more question before you go. A deeper question. Arthur's children were greedy. That is clear. But Mrs. O'Donnell was not his blood. She was a teacher from 68 years ago. So here is what I want you to think about. If you could leave your inheritance to anyone in the world, not a family member, who would you choose? And why? Maybe a teacher. Maybe a neighbor. Maybe someone who helped you when you had nothing. Write that person's name in the comments. Tell their story. Because stories like Arthur's are not really about money. They are about remembering. About gratitude. About the loopholes of the heart. Thank you for practicing English with me today. If you enjoyed this story, watch this video next. My family tried to trick me into signing away my house. Click the screen, and I will see you in the next story.